This drug turns you into a zombie. It's called scopolamine, but it's nicknamed the devil's breath because once they blow it in your face, you become a zombie. We're going to look at the following video and it's going to explain the whole thing about how people are turned into zombies after this drug is blown into their face. Stay tuned.
Story for the unwary on the streets of Paris, where news that a triad-style gang been suspected of using a powerful Colombian drug known as the Devil's Breath. That's not Donald Trump's breath, Mark, to send victims into a zombie-like trance before robbing them, been arrested in Paris. It is thought that there are three of them. They're part of an international triad-style criminal gang running a multi-million-dollar operation around the planet. What they would do, Mark, is they would isolate and identify a lone individual on the streets, approach them, apparently asked to speak to a Dr. Wang, and then blow scopolamine. So it's part of this is a derivative of deadly nightshade. Blow scopolamine into their faces. Now, what this has is the effect of scopolamine is it renders the victim completely in a zombie-like state almost immediately, highly susceptible. Not only are you highly susceptible and suggestible, you cannot form memories, so you have no recollection, you have no ability to resist, and you have no recollection of what's happened. And what they would then do is they would then walk the victim back to their house and then rob them. And they would rob them in a very tacit fashion, in a very way that the person was compliant, because they would just simply take jewelry and cash and walk out, and then the person was left dazed and would have no recollection of what's happened.
This has a plot, like a movie plot to it. They go up and ask for Dr. Wang.
They ask for Dr. Wang, apparently, and what they then do is this is from the investigative sources, then said the following: they managed to isolate their victims, then got them to breathe in a mixture of plants on the grounds that they had powerful curative qualities, even protecting them from misfortune. What they would do is that typically they would target in Paris. On the 20th, they were operating in the 20th arrondissement in Paris, and they would identify elderly people who were typically walking around on their own. And there are two Chinese women, aged 42 and 59, and a third man has also been arrested.
Now, do they actually walk around with flowers, or did they just have a powder that
it's like a powder that looks a little bit, it's like a derivative of deadly nightshade, and it looks a little belladonna, a plant, and it looks a little like cocaine.
People are
Many of our viewers are familiar with that substance. It's a white powdery substance that can be inhaled. Or a number of ways it can be ingested.
Now, people are going to be figuring out how do I get my hands on these flowers now. It turns me into a zombie and I can't remember anything. Where can I get it?
It was a drug, apparently, that, well, it has, in even small quantities, it can produce hallucinogenic effects, and in any substantial quantities, it can kill you. So it has to be treated very, very carefully.
An odd thing about scopolamine is that it is used in motion sickness patches. In fact, back in the 90s or early 90s, I had used it to try to quit smoking.
Is that right?
It made me insane, and this was a doctor's prescription. And then at the time, in 1989, I don't know if you recall, the Malta Summit, where George Bush and Mikhail Gorbachev met on a ship in the sea, and it was a storm, and they were getting tossed around. George Bush was given scopolamine patches.
Whoa! The Secret Service by whom? By the Russians?
It's unclear, but they did it to alleviate motion sickness during the Malta Summit. Wow. And now you're telling me it turns people into a zombie and they can't remember anything.
They're very suggestible.
And did they steal all his jewelry while he was at it?
Wow, that's what, my goodness, we don't know. Wow. It just reminds, I mean, it's just as an apocryphal tale. They also, apparently this gang also been preying on lone businessmen. As I said, it's not just Paris. It's an international gang, and they've not just Paris. The two other people have been arrested in Korea, South Korea, and also in China, where they've also been apparently preying on lone businessmen meeting them in bars, hotel bars, the typical story, and pouring a little bit of this, administering a little bit of this into their drink, and then the next minute they're up in their hotel room, grabbing all their stuff, grabbing all their valuables, and apparently, as I said, have amassed millions of dollars by doing this. So it's a very sophisticated, and I have to say the reason why I found this arresting, the reason why I found this such a compelling story was because it's just something which you can't really protect yourself against, and you can just be singled out and targeted out. Who doesn't? Somebody approaches you on the street, and all of a sudden,
somebody comes asking about Miss Dr. Wang.
Dr. Wang.
Don't inhale whatever they're blowing at you.
Yeah, I don't think you have a lot of choice, but that's, yeah, apparently Dr. Wang, run a mile. Let us know your thoughts. Thanks for being with us here. If you've ever tried scopolamine like Mark, let us know your experiences.
I've tried everything, pretty much.
Explains a great deal.
No, it's not true.
Let us know your thoughts. Thanks for being with us here. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Lib TV.
After viewing the video, tell me, what do you think about this drug that turns people into zombies? Please leave your comments below. Thank you.